What's going on, nieces and nephews? Hope everybody's doing well today. Welcome back to Winning Starts Here. Listen, if this is your first time joining the fam, let me officially say you are in the right place because every time we meet here, we're not just talking about winning, y'all. We're not just talking about winning. We're equipping you to actually walk this thing out. Listen, today's episode is one of those conversations that's going to stick with you because this is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling that today, as we're talking, something that's inside of every one of us, right? Something that we all face, something, check this out, that stops more dreams, more goals, and destroys more potential than almost anything else. Look, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it here on the show today. Listen, it's not money, it's not talent. Probably trying to figure out what it is, right? It's not even opportunity. What is it? It's fear. Fear is that thing. It's doubt. Doubt is that thing. It's those invisible barriers that we build inside our own minds that convince us that we can't, that we shouldn't, or that we're not good enough. See, I've learned something over the years. This is what I learned. Your greatest obstacle isn't always what's in front of you. Many times it's the thing that's on the inside of you. It's the stories that you tell yourself when nobody's watching. It's the script that runs through your head when the lights are off, right? And the crowd is all gone. But let me tell you something though. Those barriers, they're not unshakable. And today we're gonna do our part to tear those barriers down. We're gonna tear them down brick by brick, doubt by doubt, fear by fear, because the truth is winning doesn't start when fear disappears. It starts when you step forward, even when you step forward scared. So I don't want those invisible barriers, if you will, that you're facing today. I don't want them to stop you. Right? Think about it. What is it? Maybe it's fear of failure. Maybe it's the weight of a past mistake that you've had. Maybe it's the voice of someone else who's whispering in your ear, who's saying things like, you'll never make it. Whatever it is, I need you to know this, that barrier doesn't have to win. Because today, we're gonna unpack some things, y'all. We're gonna face some things, y'all, and we're gonna move through some things, y'all. I'm excited about what we got going on today. I'm excited. I believe, y'all. I believe that it's gonna be some good stuff. So check this out. Got an incredible show for you. Got some things lined up. First, I'm gonna share a little story. Right? Y'all know I like telling stories, right? So, gonna tell a little story about a moment in my life when fear almost made me. I did say almost made me miss out on a life-changing opportunity. This was a moment when I was literally standing at a door. I was trembling with doubt, but I still found a way to knock. And let me tell you this, when I knocked and when I bust through that door, everything changed. So we're going to talk about that today. Then we'll break down this thing that we call the winning play. I'm going to give you 3 actionable steps that you can take this week to start breaking down your own invisible barriers. It ain't going to be no fluff. It ain't going to be no fillers. It's literally just going to be practical wisdom that you can actually use, and you can use it today. And then, of course, I'm going to wrap up with Ask Uncle Phil. That's one of my favorites right there, y'all. Ask Uncle Phil. And I'm going to be answering some of the questions that you sent to me, some of your biggest questions about fear, about doubt, about overcoming the things that are holding you back. But before we dive into all of that, let me remind you of one thing. One thing. First of all, winning starts here. It starts literally in your mind, right? It's I'm not talking about tomorrow. I'm not talking about next year. I'm talking winning starts here, but it starts here right now, right? So since it starts right here, right now, we got to start with one simple step. And guess what? You've already done that step. It's called showing up. It's called showing up. In fact, since you've already showed up, you may as well go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can make sure that you get notifications and all the good wisdom that your good old guy, Uncle Phil, is going to be sharing with you. So, with that being said, let's go ahead, sit tight. I want you to lean in. I want you to get ready because we're getting ready to jump into it. Today's message, y'all, it's not just about breaking barriers. I will say it's about building something better on the inside. And honestly, I hope you're ready to build something better on the inside. So we getting ready to get started with this thing. We're gonna get started with this thing, and as we go ahead and jump into this, I believe it's man, today's gonna be the day. This is how we go live, right? We're gonna jump into this thing that we call, what do we call this thing? Story time. Yep, we call it story time, y'all. And story time is super dope. So when we think about story time, right? Story time is honestly one of my favorite parts of the show. And the reason it's one of my favorite parts of the show is literally because it's when I can share with you a story from my life. I can kind of pull the curtains back. I can share with you some lessons that I have learned. Right? I told you I've taken some L's. Yeah, L's. Right? I've taken some L's, so I can share with you some of these lessons, and hopefully in sharing with you some of my stories, it can change your perspective so that you can do the things that you need to do. So lean in, because honestly, this is getting ready to be a good one, y'all. It's gonna be a good one. So let me take you back to a season of my life, when honestly this was probably the first time it happened. Right, felt like I arrived. Felt like I arrived. Some of y'all have been there before, when you feel like you've arrived. You secured what you thought was your dream job, and for me, I went through college, got my degree. I busted my butt, and I became a teacher in Virginia. I was teaching ninth and 10th grade English, and I thought that was my dream job, right? So I was in the classroom, I was pouring out to students, and then after the final bell rang in the schoolhouse, y'all, I went and I coached football, right? So I was coaching football, and I was truly able to just pour in to students, but more importantly for me, I was pouring into people and men, right? So that's what I was doing. I was living the life. Everything for me, it felt aligned. My purpose felt aligned. My passion felt aligned, and the paycheck felt aligned, right? Even though honestly I was still eating ramen noodles, but nonetheless, it was better than what was happening in college. It made sense to me. I was doing the things that I loved. And then the phone rang, right? I got a phone call. It was one of my mentors. His name is John. And John is somebody that I deeply respect. He called me, and he said, listen, there's an opportunity that I think that you would be perfect for. This is an opportunity that I don't think you want to pass up, right? And honestly, I didn't know what it was. I just knew that it was at a hospital back in Louisville. So I didn't understand the job. I knew that it was a bigger scale. I knew that I would, probably be able to grow some skills. I knew it that it paid more. But even with all that, y'all, I didn't want the job. I wasn't really excited about the job because I thought that I was in my dream job, right? So as John called me, I was kind of avoiding that brother like Ashton Genty, the guy from Boise State trying to avoid a would-be tackler. I'm just saying, y'all, right? I said no to that opportunity. And I didn't just say no once. I said no multiple times, right? John would call me and I would ignore his calls. I was ducking him and I was pretending like I didn't hear what he was saying when he brought up the fact that there's an opportunity for you that I believe that you would be great for. Now, the question is, why? What was going on? Well, for me, the real reason is, I was scared. I'd just gone through that season over the summer where I was unemployed, where I was fighting to find a job. So now that I found the job that I thought that I wanted, y'all, I was scared. I was scared of the unknown. I was scared of failing. I was scared of stepping into something that I'd never done before. What you mean go to the hospital? I don't know anything about a hospital, right? I don't know anything about that. What do you mean go train people? I don't know. I've never done that before, right? So to be honest with you, I was scared, but I was scared of losing the little bit of stability that I had worked so hard to gain. Maybe you've been there before, where you don't want to give up the stability. I didn't wanna go back to the ramen noodle days. Maybe you know what I'm talking about when, things are starting to look up, right? I didn't wanna go back to scraping quarters from the cushion of the couch just to get gas for the car. I didn't wanna go back to those days. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. But here's the thing about fear. it doesn't always show up loud. Honestly, sometimes fear is quiet. Sometimes fear wears a disguise. That disguise, it looks like comfort and it feels like security many times, right? But nonetheless, it still keeps you stuck. And I don't want to go back to being stuck, right? Eventually, after avoiding a mentor, after avoiding what felt like weeks, right? I finally gave in. I finally said, "All right, listen, I'll apply, right? I'll apply." And honestly, if the truth be told, I just said that I would apply just so he could leave me alone. So I applied, and y'all know what happened next. Y'all know. Your boy went, your boy interviewed, and your boy got the job, right? But it wasn't just a job. It was a job that paid me more. When I say more, I mean substantially more. It was also a job that was going to stretch me professionally because the things that I was now going to be teaching, I didn't know. I didn't know nothing about it, right? I didn't. So I knew that it was going to stretch me, but it still allowed me to use my teaching skills, my coaching skills, and I did love the fact that I was able to do that. So in one sense, I was doing something that I'd never done before, but in another sense, I was doing the same thing that I had always done. This time, it just wasn't with students per se; it was with adults. Now, that one decision, that decision that I almost allowed fear to talk me out of, that decision changed the trajectory of my life. It changed the trajectory of my career. It changed the trajectory of my family, right? I didn't even know it at that time, but it opened doors that I didn't even know existed. So here's the key lesson that I want you to get, and you gotta hold on to this, right? Listen, fear told me to stay put. For some of you right now, fear is telling you to stay put. It's telling you don't go. It's telling you to stay in your comfort zone. Listen, fear told me to stay put. But watch this. Courage told me I had to move forward. I had to move forward. And when fear showed up, I had to press through anyways, even if I had to do it scared. Listen, fam, fear, fear isn't always a stop sign. Sometimes fear, it's a doorway. And on the other side of that doorway, there's something bigger than you've probably ever imagined. So let me ask you this. What door is fear keeping you from walking through, right? What door is it keeping you locked out of right now? Do me a favor. I want you to think about that. I want you to think long and hard about that. But once you figure out what the thing is, how fear is holding you back, I want you to put it in the comments box, because that is step one today to helping all of us move forward. Sometimes we got to recognize it, and we're going to talk about that in just a few moments. But I hope this story made sense for you, right? I hope you're really feeling it and understanding what I'm speaking about fear. It will try to hold you hostage, and it will try to keep you from walking into the things that you need to do. But I know some of you right now, you're asking yourself the question. You're like, okay, all right, how in the world am I gonna do this? What does that have to do with me? And I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked, because honestly, there are some steps that we need to take, and I'm gonna give you 3 steps to break through the fear so that you can start winning, so that you can start winning. The thing that we do here, we have this thing that we call the winning play. And guess what? We getting ready to get it started. We getting ready to get the winning play started. So, if you ready for the winning play, in the comments box, go ahead and just tell me. Say I'm ready. I'm ready for the winning play. I'm ready for whatever it is. I'm ready for whatever it is, because the truth of the matter is, you gotta know what you need to do. You have to know the steps. You have to know what's going on, right? And I am gonna be able to deliver those steps right to you. I'm gonna deliver them right to you. So get ready, because we're gonna kick this thing off. Let me give you these steps, y'all. I'm excited about the steps. I'm excited about the steps. I'm excited about what we have going on, right? I call this segment the winning play. right? I call it the winning play. And the winning play, this is where I'm gonna take lessons, right, from the story that I just told you. So if you haven't checked out the story, please make sure you go back and learn about the story, right? But I'm gonna take some lessons from the story. And I'm gonna break them down into some clear, actionable steps that you can carry into your week, right? I told you earlier, no fluff, no fillers, right? This is simply practical wisdom that you can actually use. I hate when people give you stuff that you can't use, right? They tell you stuff and you can't use it. That's not happening here, right? That's not happening with Uncle Phil. That's not happening with winning starts here. We're gonna give you stuff that you can actually use. Now, if you've been following for a long time, then you know that we've been talking about fear, right? Fear almost stopped me from exploring and taking one of the best opportunities of my life. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Fear didn't disappear on its own. And it's not going to disappear on its own in your life, right? I had to move through fear. Just like you're going to have to move through fear, right? So if that's what we need to do, I'm going to give you 3 powerful steps to help you break through fear, to help you start winning, and to help you start winning right where you are, like right here, right? I'm going to help you start winning with what you have. I'm going to help you start winning exactly where you stand. So I hope you're ready for this. We're going to go ahead and jump into it. Here's step number 1. Here's step number 1. Here's step number 1. We have to be able to identify your barriers. We have to be able to identify your barriers, right? You have to be able to identify your barriers. Well, why do I say that? Because step 1 is simple, right? Right? This identifying your barriers, but it ain't easy. It ain't easy. The truth of the matter is you can't fix what you won't face. And there are so many of us right now. We will not try to face this thing. I'm telling you, y'all, it's tough. We won't try to face it, right? It's kind of like, imagine with me for a second. Imagine with me. You're walking into a pitch black room, you hear a noise, right? And once you hear the noise, that fear starts growing. That heart starts going doom doom, doom doom, doom doom, right? Your fear starts growing because you can't see what's causing the fear, right? But you know where the light switch is. So you work your way over, boom, you flip on that light switch. And even if it's something uncomfortable or scary that you see, watch this. At least you know what it is. It's kind of how fear works. It's louder when it's unknown. So let me ask you, what is it for you? Is it the fear of failure? Is it the fear of what others think? Is it the fear of stepping into something unfamiliar? Maybe it's doubt, right? Maybe you're doubting that you have what it takes. Maybe you're doubting that you'll ever be good enough or can really do this thing. Listen to me, fam. Listen, you have to be able to identify it. You got to name it. You got to write it down. And more than that, you got to say that thing out loud so that you can own it. Because what you don't identify, you cannot overcome. Fear loves to live in the shadows, y'all. It's lived in our shadows for so long. But when you drag that thing into the light, it starts to lose its power over you because you can see it. You can see it. And whatever you can see, you can deal with. So listen, right now, I want you inside of the comments box, inside of the chat, I want you to just drop in one word that represents the barrier that you're facing right now. Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it insecurity? Is it perfectionism? I don't know, but I want you to write it down and I want you to own it. And then we can face that thing together. So go ahead, do that now, right? See, by doing that, you've taken the first step. And the first step, like I told you earlier, it's all about identifying it. It's all about identifying it. So now let's move on to step 2, right? Let's move on to step 2. Step 2 is all about reframing the fear. Let me say it again, reframing the fear. That's what step 2 is about, right? Here's something I need you to understand. Fear doesn't always mean stop. You got to hear me. Fear doesn't always mean stop. Sometimes fear is just a signal, right? It's like a warning light on your dashboard. It's trying to tell you something. But most of us, when we feel fear, we're like, we slam on the brakes. You don't gotta slam on the brakes, right? Just understand that it's a signal, right? So So let me ask you, what if fear isn't saying stop? What if fear is just saying, pay attention, son? Pay attention, daughter. What if it's just saying, hey, this is important? What if the fear is saying, hey, no, nobody feels fear, right? Right? Nobody's feeling it. But I need you to feel it, right? Because here's the thing, listen to me. Fear shows up when you're about to do something mean. When you're about to do something that potentially could change your life, that's when fear shows up. Remember, when my mentor called me with the job opportunity, fear wasn't screaming, "Don't do it." Fear was asking. It was like, what if this works? What if this ain't work? What if you get this job? What you gonna do then, right? But I didn't hear that at first. What I heard was I was like, man, I heard this hesitation, right? I heard excuses. Those are the things that I was hearing. There is no way that you can do this, right? That's what I was hearing in my mind. But listen, that's what I want you to hear today. Fear doesn't have to mean stop. Fear can simply mean get ready. As TD Jake says, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, right? Fear can simply mean pay attention. Fear can simply mean, right, that whatever you're seeing right now, it matters. It matters. So for this week, I want you to think about something that you've been afraid to do. And I want you to ask yourself, what if this fear isn't trying to stop me? Right? What if this fear is trying to prepare me? Sit with that question for a minute. What if it's trying to prepare me? Right? Write down your answer. And remember what I said. Fear isn't just a signpost pointing you towards something important. That's all it is. It's a signpost pointing you to that thing. And it's saying, hey, listen, this is important. That might be a little different from the way that you've heard fear talked about before. All right. So let me give you one final step today. And it's simply take one bold step. That's it, right? Take one bold step. The magic happens when we start moving. Can I say that one more time for the people in the back? The magic happens when we start moving. Listen to me. Fear doesn't disappear before you move. It's still there, right? Fear doesn't disappear before you move. It disappears while you're on the move. That's good, right? You don't wait until the fear is gone to take action. You take action, and then the fear starts to fade away with every single step that you take, right? I didn't take the step to walk into that training manager job because I was fearless. I took it because I decided to move through the fear, right? One phone call, one application, and then with that began the process of me having my entire life change because I leaned in to the fear. So here's the thing about bold steps. They don't have to be big steps. Bold steps don't have to be big steps. They just have to be intentional steps. Maybe you need to write an email, right? Maybe it's sending that email to somebody. Maybe it's reaching out to someone for help. Maybe it's watching the doggone Uncle Phil video. I don't know, right? But maybe it's starting your side hustle that you've been dreaming about. Whatever it is, listen, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Don't overplan it. Just step. That's it, right? Just step. So right now, I want you to think about one bold step that you can take this week. What's one bold step that you can take this week? I want you to drop it in the chat, right? I want you to drop it in the chat. What's one thing, just one, not a whole bunch of them, just one thing you can do this week that's gonna move you just 1 inch or closer to breaking this barrier, right? Just 1 inch closer. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. You don't have to like see the whole staircase to take the final step or to take the first step rather. You all you gotta do is step, y'all. All you gotta do is step. So here's a game plan for this week. I need you to identify your barrier. What is the thing that's holding you back, right? I need you to reframe the fear. Reframe the fear, right? And then lastly, I need you to take one bold step. A bold step that will move you forward just an inch. We don't gotta get all the way. Just move forward a little bit, right? Now, these aren't just words, they're tools. So I need you to use them I need you to apply them. And remember, winning doesn't start with perfection. It starts with action. So I need you to act, right? And we act by taking that one simple step. One simple step. That's it. That's all you got to do. Just take the one simple step, all right? So, with that being said, it's time, y'all. It's time to start addressing some questions that you have. We call this segment Ask Uncle Phil. And with Ask Uncle Phil, we got some questions that you all have brought to me. So I want to talk about it. All right. I want to talk about it. This is actually one of my favorite segments because it's not about me, it's about you. All right. It's not about me. It's about you. These are real questions. I'm gonna give you some real answers, and we're just gonna have real talk. Right. I'm gonna do my best. Y'all kept it real with me. I'm gonna do my best to keep it real with you. All right. Gonna try to also take it below surface level. So not gonna go too deep, but hopefully this makes sense. So I got three questions that you posed to me today. The first question, it says, Uncle Phil, how do I stay motivated when I don't see results right away? How do I stay motivated when I don't see results right away? And that's a good question. And the reason I believe this question is real, because if we're honest, nothing is more discouraging than showing up day after day and feeling like you're not going anywhere. I've been there before, right? Showing up, doing what I'm doing, it doesn't seem like I'm going anywhere. But here's the truth. Here's the truth. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fuel. Let me say it again. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fuel. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going, right? So when you don't see results, you got to focus in on the small wins. You got to celebrate your progress, not just your outcomes, right? Maybe you didn't lose a pound this week, right? But guess what? You showed up. You were at the gym. You did your best to eat, right? Right? So again, it's not necessarily about the outcomes. The question is, did you show up? Did you give your best effort? Did you take one step forward? And that's the win, y'all. That's the win. And here's something that I need you to remember. Sometimes the seeds you plant today don't show fruit until later on. So don't quit before the harvest comes. I felt that in my shanana right there, right? Just because you planted today doesn't mean that you're gonna see fruit today. You're not gonna see the harvest today. So just understand that it's coming. It's coming. So this week, listen, write down one small thing that you can do every single day, even if it's tiny. Just acknowledge it because small wins create momentum. Y'all heard me say it before. Small wins create momentum. All right. So I yeah, I'm gonna clap for y'all because that was a good one. That was a good one. That was a good one. All right. Question number two. Question number two. What if I don't know where to start and I feel stuck? What if I don't know where to start and I feel stuck? Feeling stuck, y'all, is one of the most frustrating feelings in the world. I know it is for me, right? It's like being in quicksand. I've never really been in quicksand, but it's what I would imagine quicksand, I guess, to feel like. It's harder, right? It gets harder the harder you try, right? So the harder you try, it's like the deeper you get stuck, right? But here's what I've learned. Here's what I've learned. Sometimes you got to start with what's in front of you. Sometimes for us, we get so caught up in trying to see the whole picture that we overlook the small step that's right in front of us. You don't need to have a 5-year plan figured out just to take the first step. Maybe your first step is simply sending one email, like I said earlier, right? Maybe it's having one conversation. Maybe it's writing down one idea. Whatever it is, just start small. But if you start small, at least you're starting, right? At least you're starting. So here's the key: action creates clarity. Let me say it again: action creates clarity. You won't always know the next 10 steps, but if you take one, the next step will become clear. So ask yourself this question: what's one thing that I can do today that'll help me move that inch forward? and then do it, y'all. That's it. Just do the one thing. Because if you do the one thing, you'll be okay. Just do the one thing. All right. So that was that. Hey, I like that one. I like that one. We got one more question, y'all. We got one more question. We got one more question. We got one more question. All right. Question number 3. How do I deal with people who don't support my goals? Oh boy. Oh man. Y'all listen. There's gonna be a whole lot of people that don't support your goals. I'm gonna be honest with you. This one hit home for me. All right. This one hit home for me because I've learned that everybody won't clap for you, right? Everybody's not clapping for you to win, right? And everybody's not gonna believe in you while you're building. But can I drop this on you? Your vision isn't for everyone else to understand. It's for you to execute. So stop trying to convince people who weren't given the same dream that you were given. Sometimes the best way to deal with unsupportive people is to let them see your results while you're doing the thing, right? You keep on doing the thing. You keep your head down. You keep doing the work and let your progress be your response to all the naysayers, all the doubters, right? Here's the thing. Sometimes the people closest to you, they won't believe in your vision. They won't tell you that. But they're like, I don't know. Who does he think he is? Who does she think that they are? Mm, that's not cool. That's not gonna work. Right? That's okay though. That's okay because we can't allow someone else's lack of belief in us to stop us from moving forward. The question is, did you hear it? Is that the vision that you were given? And if it is, well, it's time to move. It's time to act. So this week, I need you to take inventory, right? Take inventory. Who's in your corner? You better look and look close. Who's really in your corner? How do you know who are the people who are pouring into you? Who are the people who are supporting you? Who are the people who are boosting you up, right? Those are the people who are in your corner. And I'm gonna say this. Um Adjust your circle accordingly. Sometimes there are some people who need to be cut off from your circle and access to you, right? No access. Cut them off. The reason that you cannot move forward is because they're holding you back. Cut them off. See how fast you move forward because you cut them off. So I'm telling you right now, find who's in your corner. And the people who are holding you back, cut the chain. Cut the chain. It'll catapult you forward because you don't have them people holding you back no more. So, fam, these were some good questions. Listen, if they weren't good for you, they was good for me. I hope that I've given you something to hold on to, something to think about, and more importantly, I'm hoping that I've given you something to act on today as you move forward. But before we wrap up this segment, just let me ask this one question: which of the answers spoke most to you? Right? You heard all the questions, but which of the answers spoke most to you? Drop that in the chat because I want to know that that helps me as we're moving forward. To try to provide solutions for you when we do this every single week. Now, I need you to stick around. I need you to stick around because we have this thing getting ready to come up now that we call the winning charge. And trust me, you do not want to miss the winning charge. And it's going down right now. All right, fam. Lean in. No, seriously. I need you to lean in. I need you to lean in right now. If you've been halfway paying attention, if you've been scrolling for a while, I this is the moment that I need you to lean in because listen, this is for you. See, I've been thinking about fear. I've been thinking about how it whispers in your ear, how it sits on your chest, and how it locks your feet to the ground. But let me tell you this. It's something about fear, right? It doesn't show up when you're going nowhere. Fear shows up when you're about to step into something significant. When you're on the edge of something that could change your life, fear doesn't show up in empty places. It shows up in doorways, y'all. Yeah. Let that rest for a second. Let that rest for a second. But let's talk about something that we don't talk about enough. Fear costs us. Fear costs us. Fear will keep you in a job you hate because you're afraid to fail at something better. Fear will keep you in a relationship that's breaking you because you're afraid to be alone. Fear will keep you talking about your dreams instead of building them. And listen, fam, fear doesn't always look loud. It's not always shouting in your face. Sometimes fear is quiet. Sometimes fear looks like comfort. Sometimes fear looks like a good enough job, a good enough life, a good enough version of you. Listen, good is the enemy of great, my friends, right? So let me hit you with this. Fear doesn't stop you because it's strong. It stops you because it's consistent. Yeah, that's what's happening. Fear doesn't have to knock you down. It just has to keep you still. And as long as you're still, you're not growing. As long as you're still, you're not building. As long as you're still, you're not losing, right? You're not losing, y'all. So I want you to think about this. Right, think about this. Think about something, right? A door, right? And there's something about a door, right? Doors don't open themselves. Y'all got to hear me on that. Doors don't open themselves. You have to walk up to them. You got to put your hand on the knob. You have to turn it. And some of y'all have been standing at the same door for years, afraid of what's on the other side, afraid of what people will say if you fail, afraid of losing something you were never supposed to keep in the first place, y'all. But listen, the door you're afraid to walk through might be the very thing that you've been praying for. It might be the opportunity you've been begging for. But you'll never know if you keep letting fear convince you to stand still. There's a story about this man. He was standing outside of a locked door. He bangs on the door. He shouts. He waits. Nothing happens. But when he finally gets tired and turns to walk away, he hears a voice whisper to him, "The door was never locked. You just never tried the handle." Fam, listen to me. I need you to hear me when I say this. Winning doesn't start when fear disappears. Winning starts when you move anyways, in spite of the fear. When you knock, anyways. When you turn the handle, anyways. When you say, "Fear, you can't ride with me, but you cannot drive," right? Like you got to be able to say, "Come on, fear. You ain't driving here though." So here's my charge to you this week, right? Find your door. Find your door. You know the one I'm talking about, right? Find your door. The one that you've been avoiding, find your door, right? The one that you've been making excuses about, find your door. And don't just stand there staring at it. I need you to open the door because fear isn't a stop sign, it's a doorway. And the other side is waiting for you. This week, I want you to do one thing. Take one step towards your doorway. That's it. Take one step towards your doorway. Just one, right? Just one step. Can you take one step towards your doorway? And don't you dare let fear convince you to turn around. Like listen, don't you let fear turn around, right? If you don't remember anything else that I've said today, remember this. Fear is not a stop sign. It's a doorway. And the other side is waiting for you. We got to keep on showing up. We got to keep on growing. We got to keep on winning, one step at a time. Listen, you got this. You can do this. But you got to do it. All right, y'all. Well, listen, I'm hoping that today was a good day for you. I'm hoping you've learned a lot, right? Man, because we talked a whole bunch, and in this episode, we talked right a whole lot, and if something clicked for you, if you felt a little spark in your chest, right, then you know what I'm talking about, right? Because winning starts here, right? If you felt that spark, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for your boy, right? We're trying to do all of this together, right? Today, we talked about breaking through fear. We unpacked a powerful story about facing the unknown. We laid out 3 actionable steps in the winning play, and we even tackled you real questions that you sent to your boy, right? And now, as you know, we just closed out with this thing that we call the winning charge, right? But none of this matters if you don't take action, right? This is not something that you can just hear. I need you to take action. Action beats intention every single time. All right. So let me ask you, what's the one thing you're going to take action on? What's the one thing you're going to take away from the show today? I need you to drop it in the chat, write it down, say it loud, make it real, right? And I'm going to say it one more time. If this episode added value to you, if it made you think, if it gave you something to think about, please, y'all, go ahead. Do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the message out. I believe that you're part of our family here, right? You're part of something bigger now. You're part of the Uncle Phil fam. And every single week we're gonna show up, we're gonna grow stronger, and we're gonna remind ourselves that winning starts here. And watch this, it starts with you. So, next week, we're going to dive into something powerful. Next week, I'm going to break down one of the biggest barriers that keeps people stuck in neutral. Yep, stuck in neutral. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how to break free. Trust me, y'all, you don't want to miss it. So, mark your calendars, set a reminder, do whatever you need to do. Meet me here, same time, same place, for another powerful episode of Winning Starts Here.